I get a lot of people on YouTube that are either trolls, and you can tell because if you go to their profile, there's no videos, there's no picture, there's no nothing. All they want to do is go out and slam people that make videos, and it's not just Kyusho, it's many different martial arts, and they call them fake or whatever, just because they haven't related the idea in their head. They haven't done the intellectual thing of researching, and they haven't done the practical thing of experiencing it first. And most of these guys get caught on my spam filter for some reason. Now, I didn't set up a spam filter, but when people are commenting on YouTube, it's funny because some of the trolley type of questions get pushed right into spam, or there's another column there, and I don't remember what that is. Spam, and what the heck was it? Anyway, they get pushed there automatically, and I look at them, and I don't even bother to put them up on the posts. However, Kyusho is real, and that's basically what they're saying, is that this stuff is crap, the Kyusho isn't real. Well, if your nerves are real, if your blood vessels are real, if your brain is real, if your organs are real, if your muscles and tendons are real, Kyusho is real, because that's what Kyusho attacks. It's not these fictitious pressure points, it's the actual structures of the body. Hitting your elbow on the table, hitting that funny bone, that's like a Kyusho target. That's what Kyusho is, okay? The rear naked choke, by the way, folks, is Kyusho. You gotta wake up, okay? It's sealing off the blood supply to the brain, blood and oxygen to the brain. You can do that with a rear naked choke. Why couldn't you do it with a punch? Why can't you do it with a tiger claw sealing it? Okay, why couldn't you do it with special hand formations? Why couldn't you do it with an elbow when the guy's on the ground? Okay, you gotta wake up, folks. You gotta stop thinking that Kyusho is this pressure point thing, number one. And secondly, you have to get it into your mind that if you're striking nerves, or you're targeting nerves, and you're targeting blood vessels or organs or body functions, that was what Kyusho was. That was what original karate was. It's not this sport crap you see. And even MMA, by the way, is a sport. They have rules, okay? They have parameters where they won't go past. Yeah, it's a heck of a sport, okay? It's really powerful. Another question people have asked me, and I'm doing this because a couple people in my organization have mentioned it several times. I know one of our guys out in Taiwan, Daniel Flash, is his nomiker. He's done a video on it recently. Kyusho is real. If you have ever seen a boxing match, you've seen Kyusho. If you've ever seen an MMA fight, it's Kyusho. Let's go to MMA, because that seems to be the popular thing these days. You've seen knockout after knockout. If you look at the knockouts and you know the Kyusho targets, you see Kyusho in action. These guys are getting them by mistake or accident, okay, except for a couple people. Now, Chuck Liddell wrote in his book, okay, about a target that he trained in Okinawa. And then he went back into the UFC matches, and he nailed a lot of people and knocked them out with it. Okay, and his career ended, consequently, karma's a bitch sometimes, when he started getting knocked on the jaw the same way he knocked people on the jaw, and he started getting knocked out. Sort of ends your career. So Chuck Liddell wrote about it. He trained it. He put it into the MMA. So your argument is moot, okay? Also, the other knockouts, look at it. Look at in conjunction with Kyusho. If you have a question, ask me. I'll tell you exactly what the guy hit in that knockout to cause it. Some of it is blunt trauma to the head. Most of it is not, okay? Yeah, they're hitting hard, but not hard enough for blunt trauma. Some of them, of course, are. All right. Now, in MMA also, you have rules that you can't hit that say like the kidney. Okay. So it's the same thing in boxing. Now, in boxing, there were a lot of deaths, as I mentioned. Okay, and that's why they made it illegal. Okay. If you look at the techniques of old Okinawa, okay, from Ohan Soken to Fujita, who went back, I think it was a little further than Ohan Soken, but Master Funakoshi, Mabuni. All of these great martial artists wrote about these targets, and they didn't call them pressure point this, they didn't call them triple warmer or stomach meridian, or they didn't use meridian, they didn't use acupuncture, they used real anatomical structures, which they named out, and then they told you the effects of those. It'll cause hypovolemic shock, okay, if you start bleeding profusely internally, which is what you get on a kidney shot, a liver shot. How many times have you seen a liver shot in boxing? That takes the guy out. We've seen it in MMA. We've seen it in the boxing. Now, a long time ago in a Playboy article, Oscar de la Hoya was talking to Playboy, and he was mentioning his upcoming fight with Antonio Vargas. And one of the things that came out in that article, and I don't have it, and I don't remember what year it was, so I can't look it up. If one of you wants to research it and let me know where it is, that'd be great. Just link it below. Where he was talking about hitting specific targets, specific ways on the head and the body that would knock an individual out. Okay, now when you watch the Oscar de la Hoya fight and the Antonio Vargas fight, you saw him hunting them, and he nailed them a couple times. He didn't get him well enough to knock Vargas out, but he sure knocked him down. Level 2 knockout. That should have ended the fight because it dazed and confused him, knocked him out. They gave him the standing 8 count a few times. And he came back up. And he also used a couple targets on De La Hoya. All right. So you start looking at some of these boxing matches. Muhammad Ali, the Phantom Punch. Okay. I think that was Muhammad. Anyway, a long time ago, someone had what was called the Phantom Punch, where it looked like the guy missed or barely tapped the guy, and the guy fell and passed out, and they thought he threw the fight and whatnot. But when you look at that knockout, okay, you're going to see that he nailed a nerve, okay? It's in there. It's always been in there. What people are doing, though, is they've never been taught it, so they disbelieve it, okay? And then they put up this mental wall, okay? And like I've been showing this one karate style that's really prominent around me. The Kyusho targets for God knows how many years, since 96, 97, okay? They're still not picking up on it. Very small pockets of those people are. And to their credit, they're looking deeper into their art. But anyway, if you don't study it and you don't believe it, it doesn't mean it's not real. It just means that you haven't researched it enough. It means that you haven't experienced it at all. So I suggest you first start researching. Look at all these YouTubes, okay? Just go look at them and you'll get some information. Then you can do further research on it. Now, the man that was trolling me this last time and saying it wasn't real, and then he also told me that the technique that the guy was doing a rear naked choke on me, and he had his legs hooked into my thighs. He was in the backpack position, if you study Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And I used a movement out of Seisan. In that movement, I twisted his foot and I stuck my elbow on the inner nerve of the leg, the saphenous nerve on the inner shin, okay? And it causes a lot of pain. I haven't met too many people that don't feel pain there. There are some, but in the interim, it's not a pain compliance that Kyusho is. It's a functional problem for the person. They're dysfunctioned because we're attacking their nervous system or their blood system, and their physiology shuts the body down. In this particular one, it's not so much the pain compliance. Yes, that is a player in this factor, but not everybody's as sensitive as the other people. But what happens is you always see the person's spine straightens out, they lay back, their arms expand from their choke position, okay, and they lay out, and most of them, like I said, scream because it hurts. But what happens is that electrical shock that you send up the leg nerve, okay, enters the spine, makes the spine stretch back, which pulls the person back. As it hits the shoulders area, the arms flail out, because not only is the message going up the spine, a surge of neurological energy shooting up the spine so greatly that it affects the arms and the back and the body. It goes right into the brainstem. That's where your subconscious mind is. That's where your reflexes emanate from. And it causes that cross-extensor reflex where the arms and the back extend to get away from the pain factor or the potential damage that the body thinks it's under. Now in the background you see a little clip playing where I'm duplicating that technique. This again is from a Seisan film that I did with Master Chip Quimby. These are hardened Uechi-ryu karate practitioners. You'll see it still worked on them. All right, if you know it's coming, can you block it? Only temporarily, okay? And if you don't knock it, and I were to dig in, or the practitioner using this technique were to dig in deeper, you get into the blood vessels, which causes a blood knockout. It causes the blood system, the blood pressure to drop. And you've seen that on my ankle knockout. And just look up the films on YouTube, you'll see it. Ankle knockout is one of them. All right, and you'll see that if you don't get to the nerve, you will get to the blood. Okay, so these are real, but to say it's not real, if you haven't first researched it, if you haven't first or a second experienced it, is just a foolish errand. Okay, and sorry, but people troll for some ungodly reason, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And that's why I made this video.